Hi, my name is Melanie. I am going to do a video today on why passing matters to trans people, why we care in the first place. And MAGA and transphobes, I, of course, extend a special invitation to you to join me in a Discord call where we can discuss our differences and figure out maybe how we could coexist peacefully. Man, I'm struggling with my words today. Next video, I think it's going to be on why I'm trans and what makes me trans and yada yada. So please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe down below. And if you want to type bunny, it would really help boost my algorithm if everyone did that. And it would really support me and my channel. And since I know that that's why everyone woke up today that is viewing this video was to support me and my channel, that was the sole reason that you woke up today, I really, really appreciate everyone doing that. Big thanks to everyone. So I'm Melanie. I'm a not passing trans lady. I'm still in transition. I do content for people that are considering transition, who are early on in transition, or are a supporter of one of us. If you are any of those three, I think this content is directly targeted for you. There's some great content from people who can be like, hey, you know, I started here and now I'm here. I have eyeliner on me. Oh well. It bleeds sometimes, but anyway, there's great content from people who can like talk about that. This is going to be more about like, what does the transition look like, sound like, what sort of things do we go through, and things like that. So with all of that, I will say that I don't have a whole lot of money, and nor does my wife. And we're still making the thing happen, and you can too. So with all of that, I will go ahead and get into the content of the video. So what do people mean when they say passing? This is editing me. I'm just coming to throw in that passing I categorize into three things: how we sound, how we look, and how we behave. And between those three things, we'll decide how well we pass or not. Generally speaking, when someone says passing, they're meaning someone like myself, who is a trans woman, would pass for a cis woman. Pass for meaning that other people believe that I was born that way. If they ask, I of course wouldn't deny being trans, but if in the world where I would pass, I then have the opportunity to stealth. And stealthing is just where you go about your life like you aren't trans, and you just fit in, and stealth, like in my case, I was just born a woman. So essentially that's what passing is. Stealthing is a huge advantage if you can do that. And basically that's the goal of traditional transitions. Some people in this day and age kind of aren't concerned with that, which I don't necessarily think is a bad thing. I have my own sort of remedy when it comes to this topic on passing and how to deal with not passing, but I'll share that at the end. But generally the plan is to get to the passing point ASAP, and that's like the goal. And from there, life can pick up normally. So passing matters mostly because it affects how the world interacts with us, being trans people. And we can have limited access to spaces. We can deal with, oh, I see my cat moving. Hi, Mr. Kitty. No, never mind. She's just going back to bed. All my cats are named Mr. Kitty, by the way. I don't care what they were. Sex at birth. I'm a big South Park fan. It's fun to, regardless of like which cat is being bad, you can yell at them like Cartman and say Mr. Kitty. It's really fun. Bay. But anyway, so back to the video. I had an interesting interaction with one of my gay friends who's a gay man, is a gay man, not was. And I said something about how, like, I wanted to pass, or, like, these people are so lucky, or whatever I said, right? Something about passing, and his answer was like, oh, you want to pass? Like, you know, oh, you interested? Like, that's something cool, okay. And I'm looking at him like, first of all, hey, fuck you, dude. Hey, fuck you. You're getting called out on YouTube, V. If you're watching this, because I know you have this channel, I'm talking about you directly. Hi. Love you. Just kidding. He's a very, very good friend of mine. But that was like, it brought to my mind like, hey, maybe people don't understand why we would want to pass. Like, they don't see that there's a utility to that. So, pardon me, I'm getting stoned while we're going. Okay, so quick disclaimer mode. There is an electrician upstairs that's getting some work done. I've also finished my joint. So, from here on out, we are in waters where you might just have to disregard some noise upstairs or some stupidity from myself. Look who showed up to the stream. What a sweet boy. Say hi, YouTube. Hi, YouTube. Oh, what a sweet boy. Oh, I was doing something. So for me, the biggest one that, like, the most immediate impact that I saw was my employment. So I was a salaried kitchen manager. I had been in kitchen management for about 10 years. I announced to the company, who was trans friendly. They did hire trans people. They didn't have any trans managers, though. So when I said that I was going to be transitioning, that I announced I was going to be starting to taking hormones soon, thinking I was in a place of support, I got an email within a week saying I was terminated, that after a discussion with some higher up, I was just gone. And that's that. So it definitely, like, that was the most immediate hitter. I still have not found a job that's willing to hire me based on my experience alone, and that I'm trans. This is why passing matters, is because if I did pass, like, let's say that just overnight I passed for a cis lady, or I was just born that way, I would never have lost my job. So what I did find is that getting jobs as like cashier, drive-through, maybe a position where you are not seen, those positions are a little easier, like cooks. They don't mind us in those positions as much because we're not seen. And then they can go on the record as like, oh, we're trans friendly, we hire trans people. And then it's like the NFL, where, you know, in the upper echelon, it's like 99% white men. And the rest of the demographic is swayed. And that's supposed to be parading as equality. So it's very similar, where you'll see, and with the military that's consistent, but as far as it relates to trans people, you'll see that like a trans-friendly employer, most oftentimes those people are not in leadership. Those people are not upper management. So that's been my experience anyway. Someone may have a different experience of not passing and being bricky, and people just like their career didn't change at all. I just didn't have that employer, and I have not found that employer that was willing to just say, hey, what can you bring to the kitchen? Not what gender are you, and do I feel like my staff is going to be able to coexist with you properly? And it's like, I can't even blame the companies, because like, there's going to be people that don't mesh with me just because. And I'm going to be sensitive to some things just because. And there's like, if they just don't hire me, they don't run into a lot of the risks of customers that come in having something to say. And having to defend that all the time. It is kind of the easier answer. So it's like, it's shitty, but it might even be a little easier for them to just not hire me. And if they do, to put me in a back position where I will be not seen as much, where my voice won't show, blah, blah, blah. So I would say that disrespect is something else that is like a constant while not passing. I think the more we pass, the better that gets for the most part. Like, I don't get it nearly as much as I used to. But like the stare I still get sometimes. Like the stare is my favorite too. I love the stare. Like I'll just be going about my business. My wife and I be shopping or something like that at the mall. And then some dude wants to like give me the glare. So I either just ignore the glare and ignore them and just give them zero mind. Which is really what they're worth, honestly. They're worth none of my attention, none of my emotion, none of my energy, nothing like that. And it's hard to, like, it's easy to say that when it's not you, but given that it is me, it's just something that we have to learn to deal with. And that is the answer. But I love giving them the stare back. That is like my absolute go-to move. Like, I'm like, fuck that. I'm feeling fucking confrontational today. I want a fucking problem. Like, no, you're the one that has the issue, not me. It's your culture war, not me. I'm just treating people respectfully, and you have a fucking issue with that. So we're going to fucking stare it down, and I'm going to win. We are going to either walk away with eyes locked, or you will look away first. You will not win this. So that's just like my own little thing with staring. So yeah, usually it's a guy doing it too. Like almost inevitably it's going to be a guy. Being misgendered is another one that's pretty common. And again, it happens less as you go forward. It definitely happens more early on, so be prepared for that. And there is no real prepared. I say like, be prepared for that. Like there's something you can do. Like I didn't know. I say that as someone who didn't know how to like deal with that and be ready for it. And the answer is that like they truly are ignorant. When someone's acting transphobic at me, they're being fucking ignorant. They are ignorant. Their arguments suck. And that's the real truth of the matter. That's how I feel better about it, because I know that their reasoning is absolute dog shit and that they're dog shit for people. If that's how they really think and believe, and that's how they really think and operate, you're just going to be that way. And I'm not going to win. I'm not going to waste my time. Sometimes people will straight up even laugh, and I don't think that's happened in a while. But that's something that'll happen. It's really easy to talk about how, you know, you should do this and you should do that when it's not you that's getting pointed at, snickered at, laughed at, talked about. But once you start passing, that all kind of goes away. So that's, again, why it kind of matters as far as the disrespect we get and socially where that might make a difference and why we would care. So now we will combine societies kind of like being disrespectful to us with some workplace politics, and it can get real messy real quick. Be prepared to not have the same privileges other people do. They will have headphones in. You will not be allowed to have headphones in. They will be on phone calls. You will not be allowed on phone calls. They will vape in the building. You will not be allowed to vape in the building. Cell phones, like the whole bit. This is very common in my experience anyways. This is my anecdotal experience. It's not across the board. I'm not saying all employers are like this, but I worked for a trans-friendly, a notoriously trans-friendly company. And I spent most of the time with lower-level management, supervisors, and, you know, low-level managers who didn't uphold company policies. They're just people like you and me with their own ideas, their own concepts. You know, some of them are Christian fundamentalists, and that's what you get. So, while my company may defend me, they're not going to empower me. They're not going to punish those people. They've been in employment for 4 years or whatever, versus myself, who just got there, and is already having problems. Even if it's not my fault, I'm still amidst a bunch of problems, and they're going to take the 4-year vet all day long. They're not going to punish that person. At least they didn't in any of my situations. One in particular I would have ready to go, one court case, is the Civil Rights Act of 1965. Be able to loosely quote that, and be able to apply it to whatever situation. Like, say, for instance, I'm tired of dealing with it, and I'm, like, texting on my phone in the exact same spot that everyone else is, and whatever. And then someone has the nerve to come up and say to me, put your phone away, blah, blah, blah. Whatever special rule applies to me that doesn't apply to anybody else right in front of everyone, on camera. We had audio, but, you know, sometimes you don't have that. But, you know, it's right out in the open. Now that you have done that and singled me out in this way, I can now apply that Civil Rights Act because it's continuous and it happens over and over again. The other thing I will say, as far as this all goes, not every... and within the same company, I worked for 3 different stores, 4, and only one of them really gave me a lot of problems. The other 3 were just fine, and I didn't have these issues. So it is store by store, it's location by location, but do expect to run into some of these problems. Some stores I had supportive GMs, some stores I didn't. And the other thing I will say is do not look for trouble. Do not antagonize people. Do not create incidents of discrimination. Like, if you're not for sure someone's doing that, let it go. Give them the benefit of the doubt. It goes a long way. It goes a long way. It's much better. Like, I have to think about people's jobs and that they have bills to pay. They have pets. My cat's sleeping behind me. They got all kinds of things going on in their life. So, I will say that while we need to be ready to have these things and to get out of write-ups, essentially, from people who are trying to apply rules to us that are not being applied to other people. These are not to be thrown around the room. It's not for that purpose. So hopefully we never have to use them. It isn't a card to play. It's not a game. I also believe firmly that if that person walks away from that experience being like, man, well, I guess I woke up the woke people, I didn't solve anything. He's just going to go do that to someone else, and the actual problem has not been addressed or changed. If I actually want to see a change in this person's behavior, telling on them is not going to do anything. Now, it's one thing when I'm being harassed. It's another thing when it's just like I get misgendered sometimes because someone made a slip up. Totally different. Okay, I said I had a gem, so here it is. Instead of worrying about passing for a cis lady, worry about passing as a trans lady, because I am one, and I pass as one very well. No one mistakes that I'm trans, even if they choose to misgender me. Bitch knows I'm trans. I'm not passing to a single soul, not as a cis man or a cis woman, but I pass as a trans woman. And mentally and emotionally, that felt really good. Because it's truthful, it's reality-based, it's science-based, blah, 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 blah. And I stopped worrying about how perfect everything was and how I needed to this and needed to that. And I just felt mentally more at peace because I was passing for what I am, a motherfucking trans lady. So based on my own experience, for starters, just shoot for that, to begin with. Like, I claim to not have a lot of answers. This is one that I would say is my own personal answer that, worked for me. Is just try and pass for a trans lady or trans man, whatever the case may be. And you're not going to pass right away. You're just not. You're not going to pass for a cis anyway. A cis man or woman. That will not happen. So that's my best advice on how to prepare for that. My next video I want to do is about what makes me trans, why I'm trans. I've had some people ask me that question. I think I have a better answer for those things now than the last time I posted about it. So I'm kind of excited to hopefully get a second crack at it, kind of like I did with the passing video. So don't forget, like, comment, subscribe, and if you have done all 3 of those already, you're an overachiever, and we love you for that here. Don't forget, everyone, comment the word bunny. And until next time, stay loving yourself, stay positive, and keep being the shit. Love everybody. Mwah.